Howdy, you delicious people. I'm here today to showcase more of my movie physical media. If you guys had gone on to watch the last part of movie physical media, you would go on to find that I had movies in a sack or a storage thing quite like this. And I'm kind of gonna go on and do the same here. So, with that said, I'm gonna go on and pull all these movies out and probably briefly explain any of them or kind of give my thoughts. So we're gonna just do that this way. And I assume that like I'll actually go on and do a certain kind of amount of time for every video. So if I go on and I talk about all these and we kind of get under a certain amount of time, I'll probably pause this video here and then just get out my other stack of movie stuff and then just present even more things, and then eventually maybe we'll just go on and have one video left of movie physical media, which is kind of weird. But if anything, I can just keep going on and doing more movie, or I can just do more physical media, but in different things like shows and stuff that I've kind of been teasing about for too many videos now. So maybe I can finally get to that. I don't know how well that's gonna go because of just the way that my collection is just kind of sorted of TV stuff, but eventually I'll just have to get to that eventually anyways. So with that said, let's start off this video because I've already been talking for almost 2 minutes. So, Scary Movie. This, of course, is to be basically the parody of Scream, but then all of a sudden they just decided to just parody like every single thing that just came out at a certain time period, and like it just started to become that it's like, okay, like this is kind of getting annoying. Just everything that they're just shoving into film and just doesn't make any sense anymore. But whatever, I guess, like whatever they can just make fun of and just find entertaining, like okay, sure, whatever you're gonna do, as long as like people just keep watching it, right? So Scary Movie, yeah, like right around the time there was movies like Haunting or Haunted that had like Liam Neeson in it, and they kind of took ideas from that movie. There really were like Hollow Man and all kinds of things that they just kind of stole and ripped off, which a lot of people today, if they watch this movie, would probably not know where all these references are from. Like, it would really have to be people watching this that were alive at a certain time, in all honesty, because people won't understand what any of these things of this movie are or why they have to be there. But I guess you just had to be alive during that time to know what was going on. Scary Movie 3. Here's where we start rolling in Charlie Sheen in these films, and they end up doing like the whole Signs angle, but also like there was an 8 Mile thing going on in here, which is weird. So, the funniest thing that I think is from this film is when Charlie Sheen is to just be peeing in the bathroom, and all of a sudden he keeps hearing these screams and he keeps poking his head out, and then every time he pokes his head, he like the scream like starts and stops, and it's kind of funny. That's the scene that I think I laugh at every single time of this film, because I find it so enjoyable. Scream 4. This is where they just had the kitchen sink of stuff that just didn't make any rhyme or reason for why it's in here, but it just kept going because it's like, like we just need a movie that just no longer makes sense. So it's kind of funny that they're even bringing supposedly Scream or Scary Movie back. And if they do, it's like hopefully it's one like more cohesive. Hopefully it's a movie that actually does make sense. Hopefully it's a movie that has like one like flow of story instead of just like this jumbled mess of something. Anyways, Scent of a Woman. Hoo ha! This movie is very classic. So, I think the most vicious insult that Al Pacino goes on and gives Chris O'Donnell is like, "Hey, poor mouth." He calls him poor mouth. I was like, wow. Uh, but yeah, so Al Pacino in this movie is blind, and Chris O'Donnell's character is in some school trouble where he's tempted to either rat on his friends, uh, so that way he can succeed in school because he's kind of like getting a kind of a an incentive to tell the truth about like, well, hey, like I can make your college career a little bit better if you just tell me the truth. So eventually, like as this story goes along, and Al Pacino is gonna make his one last hurrah because he's gonna go on and want to just take his own life at some point by the end of this film, or try to. But eventually, Chris O'Donnell's character convinces him otherwise to just tango on. Yeah, this piece is to go on and be so enjoyable, and like you kind of also just kind of learn some things along the way of this movie. It's yeah, it's pretty enjoyable piece. So, School for Scoundrels. So this is another one of those where it's like you have all these nerdy guys, and by the end of this, they kind of become more confident people, or like they learn like how to become more confident and are able to kind of date women more because and so eventually when there's a star pupil in his class, eventually uh Billy Bob Thornton's character takes a special interest in him, and then kind of wants to kind of like try to best his best student, and yeah, it becomes a really interesting piece. But yeah, uh, I just kind of like movies and enjoy movies like that. The Scorpion King. So the early movies of Dwayne The Rock Johnson were ones that I actually wanted to check out. Because they were actually like, ooh, like, this sounds interesting. This sounds entertaining. But also, from seeing The Mummy, like, of course, I was going to go on and see The Scorpion King. So, and then probably see a number of sequels of The Scorpion King when eventually that came out, because I was just clickbaited into, like, oh, hey, here's this this star of some kind that's in this film. Ooh, ah. But anyways, so the Scorpion King is a fun piece, but if anything, like it's just a movie that's just like whatever it needs to be just to like to sell tickets. The Scorpion King 2. We have Randy Couture in this one. He plays the bad guy in this piece, which is kind of like, ooh, all right. Scorpion King 3. This has Billy Zane and Ron Perlman, I think, in this one. Do I remember much about these later ones? No. Did I see them? I think so. I hope I didn't just impulse buy them thinking that I was going to see them sometime later, I hope. The Scorpion King 3. This one had Lou Ferrigno in it, so I really wanted to check this movie out. Yeah, that's the only person that I'm to go on and recall from this piece. Next up, we have Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So I had gone on at one point and watched the Chris Evans movie Cellular, and that's actually a pretty decent piece. And so I was to go on and look through Chris Evans' IMDb, and I found this movie. I'm like, what is this film? So I looked into it, and I saw that Chris Evans is playing this really unique character. So eventually I went on and checked out this film. I was like, oh, like Seven Evil X's. Like, this movie has a very video game-ish, like, theme. It's off of a comic book, I believe. So I was like, ooh, like, let's check this out. So the further and further I went in the story, the more that I enjoyed it based on its visuals, its comedy, because it has really good comedy. And just the idea of like Michael Cera going through all these people is kind of laughable. But anyways, so we have Michael Cera that goes on through these evil exes, and he was to have gone on and kind of dumped his girl to end up with the girl that we see here in this this thing here, and then we realize that she has 7 evil exes. So, like for some goofy reason, it's like yeah, like I'm sure there'd be quite a bit of people that would probably have like a number of different past lovers for however brief that they had them, but to have them have a weird support group or something that's kind of just strange. Man, that woman had probably really done a number on all those people, I guess, to do that whole 7 evil exes thing. It's strange. So, next up, we of course have Scream. So, I would go on to say that I had seen this movie 100 times during one summer with my sister, and eventually it got to the point to where I could time exactly when the Red Right Hand song would come in, right before the van would come into making its way to Stu's house. So, uh, this movie I'd gone on to see countless times, even though I'd start to ask my sisters, like, why are we still watching this? Like, why are we still watching it again and again? And then, like, she's like, well, I just want to go on and I just want to see this movie just like a lot of times. Like, I just want to see like one movie just a lot. And I'm like, okay, like, I guess it could be worse movies that we can go on and see multiple times like this. So, I don't know. Like, she was the one that kind of controlled what we were watching, and so I was like, okay, fine, we'll watch Scream over and over again. So that's honestly on her, because I had no other choice, and I really had no other choice. So, anyways, next up we have Bill Murray's Scrooged. Of course, we have like the Christmas Carol and all its iterations, the Scrooge story, and everything in between. So many different variations of this thing. But this one is to also be a standout thing for how drastically different it is than all the others. We come to find that Bill Murray is to be a part of this kind of TV company, and their main idea is to have the Christmas Carol, like the old tale, go on and kind of be redone for this Christmas special and done like right on Christmas Eve. So for how cold-hearted this person is and making these people like work as hard as they are, and like how he used to go on and for Christmas gifts give people towels instead of TVs or whatever, or VCRs or whatever that is. So Scrooge, so this guy ends up getting visited by multiple uh, ghosts that eventually remind him of his past and make him realize of his past love, and kind of goes down memory lane, and eventually Bill goes on and becomes a better person by the end of this film. And like it's really a fun piece. It's really enjoyable, and also there's some heartbreaking moments also, I guess, from memory. Secret Window. You stole my story. Should that be the only thing that I have to go on and take from this? Because it probably is. So I think I remember, because I've rewatched this piece fairly recently. At some point, Johnny Depp's character finds out that his wife is to have had an affair with some other guy, and he like walks in on them like doing it. So him and his wife is to go on and eventually separate in this piece, of course, because why would you go on and still hang on to a woman that's effing another guy, or another woman? Uh, so we have Johnny Depp go onto this place, and he's just trying to come up with another novel, and then all of a sudden this guy comes in, is like, hey, you stole my story. And so Johnny Depp has to come up with some actual proof that he had come up with this story well before this guy had. And the further and further that Johnny Depp has an interaction with this guy of, you stole my story, like, I don't want to spoil the piece, but like, I feel that this movie has also been so long out, or long released. We'll eventually come to find that Johnny Depp and the person that he's kind of fighting against in this movie, they are the same person. So, and eventually we find that Johnny Depp is just crazy and that he's just killing people. Next up, Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. I don't really know why I have this one in my collection. Because I don't ever really think that I'm going to go on and watch it again. Yeah, there's certain things that I think I just impulse bought, thinking that I was going to go on and check them out again. But yeah, like for this piece, I just like, I don't know, like I think I never will go on again, revisit this, because like I don't really think after the first time I watched it I got anything out of it. So maybe I might have gotten it just so that way I could have seen the film, because it was hard to find. But then when I saw it, it was like, okay, this is it. Like, this is the end. So maybe that's just why I just weirdly just held on to it, because maybe I was thinking, because I started like Steve Carell movies. Like there's the one movie where I think it was like Dan in Real Life or something, where Steve Carell has his like his head on the waffles, and like that's the poster of the movie. Where we come to find that this guy is like really down and out on his luck, but then eventually he goes on to find this woman, and the two of them are really hitting it off. But then come to find out, this woman is to actually be with his brother, and neither one of them knew. But eventually, the further and further that they're together, like the harder it is to fight that they really do like one another. And so yeah, so the further and further movie goes along, it gets really interesting. So 7, of course, what's in the box? Yeah, we have to every one-liner line that is to be most famous from every one of these movies I have to remember, right? So, this, of course, to be the Seven Deadly Sins movie. It is kind of funny how Brad Pitt ends up having that one scene where he's like, yeah, I had this partner, and he got shot and he died, and I don't remember what his name is, and Morgan Freeman's like, oh my god. Like, you're not gonna remember that partner that died? Like, yeah, there's just something about that film that just kind of like was kind of fun in some ways and interesting in others. So, The Shadow. I'll say I had gone on to review this movie, and I don't think enough people cared, or nobody cared. So if anything, please show this movie some love so that way I can get some views on a review that I've done. But either way, this movie is to go on and be based off of a comic book, and the way that this was all put together was so unique and so interesting. And I don't know, I just really was to have gone on and oddly enjoyed it. And just the way that the Shadow character was presented, just, I don't know, it was just so, it was so just like, man, this is quite a unique superhero like piece. And some people may not go on and care about the movie The Shadow. I was just so fascinated by it. So anyways, Shaun of the Dead. There are so many like interesting things about this movie. It's a zombie film that ends up just kind of being unique because of its comedy. The whole part where they're going on and they're trying to figure out how to plan how to get to the bar, and every time they have to adjust the story, and it gets funnier and funnier. We get the whole "hey, you got some red on you" with the pen exploding, and it's like, man, this guy just never changed his shirt. So further that this movie goes along, like there's just so many gags, like the whole Queen jukebox thing where they're hitting the pool sticks to the music, and just yeah, like it's a fun piece. Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes. There is some unique things about Sherlock Holmes in this film. It's interesting how Robert Downey Jr. is playing this character, and really also like it's kind of a like, if you haven't seen this in a while, it's nice to pop it in. There's some fun pieces about this film. But also, like, these movies are, of course, very just long-winded. So, I think it's very hard to really go on and write a Sherlock Holmes thing and really make it entertaining. But I think I've also gone on and seen so many variations of Sherlock Holmes that, yeah, like, it's hard to really have me care about the character anymore. Alright, so she's out of my league. So I guess this would go on and give any like average or less than average numbered man hope that all of a sudden there's gonna be this drop dead gorgeous woman that is gonna fall for them, because instead of them going on and talking to them because of their looks, they're talking to them because of their personality. Yeah. So she's out of my league. Like how they go on and they talk about the number system, and how like they say that, oh, okay, well, hey, you're a hard 5 or hard 6 or whatever, and yeah, so but like it's kind of interesting about how this movie all breaks down, and I really liked I think her name is like Adam Eve or something here. The female actress. I really started to like her, and whenever she would pop up in other projects, I'm like, yay, because I actually like this actress. She's like really just sweet and nice, and I don't know. Just there's something about her that I just it was so like like I always liked her. Shin Godzilla. We again have like the, what is it, like how many times have we gone on to like reboot this character and had him destroy whatever town he's in or city he's in or world he's in ultimately. Yeah, like it's kind of funny at this point where Godzilla would go on and just have these like long runs of like all these movies that they put Godzilla in. But then now it's just like, okay, how can we just continue to reboot this character and make it somehow just interesting enough to where everybody's clickbaited into continuing to just watch every single one of these, even though it's the same thing over and over and over again? How could we do something slightly tweakingly different? So I don't think I've gone on to yet see Godzilla -1 or whatever that goofy other title was that got an Oscar, but I am kind of tempted to maybe check it out to just see if I missed out on anything. So maybe that'll be tempting to check that out one day. But it won't be today. So next up, we have a movie called Shoot 'Em Up. This is not only a really fun action movie, but a hilarious comedy film that basically makes fun of action movies in some ways. We have characters working together like Paul Giamatti and Clive Owens that I think were perfectly together. Uh, Giovanni is to be, or uh, Giamatti is to be the villain of this story, and like it's quite fun. Like you have the hero character that goes on and eats carrots, and he has to go on and he has to save this baby from being collected by Paul's character, and like it's a really good film. I really enjoy it. So if you've never heard of it, go on and check it out if you can. Short Circuit. Your mother was a snowblower. Johnny Five alive. Yeah. So, we come to find that this robot is to have somehow gotten electrocuted, and when electrocuted had become alive, and he goes on to find this woman, and he stays at her house, and he goes on to make soup in a can. So Johnny goes on and he dances with this woman. He has a good old time, and eventually Steve Guttenberg and his trusty Indian sidekick, which honestly, the guy who played that guy was not actually Indian. That is weird. But anyways, so they have Steve Guttenberg go on and collect try to collect Johnny Five, and so Steve Guttenberg kind of takes Johnny's side, and so the company goes on and takes all these robots and goes against Johnny, and so yeah, becomes a really interesting film, a lot of funny one-liners, and just pretty fun movie. It's simple but fun. They also did a sequel where it focuses on Johnny Five, and it focuses on Steve Guttenberg's like best friend, and like they go on and they have their own kind of caper, and just kind of a fun piece there. Shrek, making waffles, making waffles. There is some kind of like the thing about this is like this movie is to be, I think, yeah, it's catered to children, but if anything, like there is some stuff for adults too. uh this movie goes on and gives you a really fun fairy tale film that's to kind of be copy and paste from all the classic kind of fairy tale stuff, and eventually when there was to go on and have sequels, they were just putting any story out there because they just knew that people would just keep going in droves to see the Shrek thing. So yeah, they just kept doing whatever for films. I'm surprised they haven't remade Shrek by this point. Because yeah, they could just do anything with that character. So we have Shriek. If you know what you did, if you know what I did last Friday the 13th, Shriek. So this is yet another one of these kind of Scream clones where like eventually like this movie is just kind of stupid and goofy. It goes on to mostly try to be like Scream, but then also it tries to reference so many things like the Stephen King movie Christine, and any number of other kind of things within it. So, like, it is to be mostly like Scream, but it also is to just try to give reference of so many other kind of familiar movies you may have heard of in your life. So, now we go on to Silver Linings Playbook. This is a movie about a character with Bradley Cooper. Bradley Coopy. Bradley's character, he has bipolar disorder, and he's always like really angry and upset. And he meets up with Jennifer Lawrence's character, and it seems that they're perfect for one another. and I don't remember anything else other than that. I really don't. But like, this is actually a really interesting movie to see Bradley, or Brad, or whatever his name is, the main character, him kind of playing this kind of character because it's so unique. Sin City. I think I had gone on to review this movie at some point. It's a really interesting piece. It goes on and has different stories to tell in one film. It has even like certain perspectives of certain, like, also you have Elijah Wood and then it's playing this really creepy evil guy, and I'm like, wow, Elijah, like, I'm so not used to you playing such a horrible guy. But then I'd also gone on to see a Maniac also. So it's like, okay, like he plays this like villainous guy that is to just have these like mental problem and Maniac. So anyways, really uh interesting noir piece Sin City is. So anyways, Slackers. So this movie is just straight up just like sex and skin. That's all that it really needs to be. My honest takeaway is the one scene where the guy barges in on the woman taking a vibrator to herself. I'm like, okay, like this is obviously a standout scene. Then eventually also there is to be the part of the movie where the woman ends up getting the sponge bath. Yeah, we have to bring that in here. We have to talk about that. So, but the main crux of this movie is that one of the characters goes on blackmails a bunch of guys that are to try and cheat through school, and eventually, he blackmails them because he wants to get this girl to like him. So, come to find out, where they're trying to get dirt on this woman to figure out how to get to know her, so this guy can kind of know everything about her and know what perfect things to do for her, and even read her diary. We then go on to find out that Devon Sawa is to kind of approach this girl and start to like her, and then they end up together. And yeah, like all things go south eventually, and it's getting revealed of what it all happened. And yeah, so it's kind of a very interesting piece. Slapshot. I think this is actually to be professional wrestler CM Punk's favorite film from memory, I think. So I would go on to say that I am to be a person that is not exactly familiar with hockey, but I've seen several hockey films. I'd even gone to see a Utah Grizzlies game at one point. Because I was in Utah during that time. So, yeah, like, of course, this movie is to be very interesting because of the kind of characters, like the Coneheads, like the three nerdy guys. And, like, I think movies also like Mighty Ducks, they have like the Basham brothers, and like they always have like these kind of characters that are to be kind of these standout characters. And if anything, like Paul Newman is just a really entertaining actor. So moving on. Snatch. So this movie I don't honestly remember much about. There are some unique characters in this piece. Brad Pitt, I believe, ends up playing a fighter in this movie. Maybe like a bare knuckle. I don't know. It's been such a long time. But yeah, this movie is pretty entertaining. So yeah, I would suggest for people to maybe give it a chance. Like if you have nothing better to do, maybe check out Snatch. And no, that's not a nickname for Roman's vajayjay. Or maybe it is. Son of Batman. So these were the animated movies where they started incorporated Damian Wayne. I honestly hated Damian Wayne, and these movies didn't help things. I don't know what it is. Like, I just did not like that character at all. Nothing helped me really enjoy that character, so I just don't know why. But if anything, we come to find that Ra's al Ghul's daughter was to have done something to Bruce Wayne that was to uh, have Ra's al Ghul's daughter be impregnated by Bruce, and she goes on and has a son, and so Talia al Ghul, I think that Talia al Ghul, goes on to go to Bruce and say, hey, you have a son, you want to see him, you want to meet him, and so he does, and then he goes on to kind of take Bruce home and trains him on how to become a Robin, and Slade ends up kind of getting the way of things, because of course he does. So because it really becomes a really interesting piece. But again, I hate Damian Wayne. But anyways, we go on and we do the follow-up of Batman versus Robin, and Court of Owls are in this, so I thought that was cool thing. If you don't know who Court of Owls are, you're kind of missing out on comic books, but if anything, yeah, the Court of Owls are on the back here. They're kind of this interesting bit of people in Gotham who are to be kind of like the wealthy, who are going on and kind of doing things behind the scenes. Like they're this kind of masked organization that is trying to control Gotham, and it's kind of interesting because we'd come to find out that the Court of Owls has been a thing that has been going on for a very long time with no one noticing. So honestly, I think if they were ever to go on and do another Batman movie besides maybe the Batman 2, because I don't think they're going to go with the Court of Owls in that film, but I wish that they kind of would, because that would be kind of a fascinating piece. Yeah, hopefully they'll do Court of Owls in some movie. So next up we have Source Code. This is to be kind of a repeated day, kind of Groundhog's Day, if you guys remember that Bill Murray movie. A guy is to try to stop a train from exploding, and so he has to go on and he has to figure out who was the one to have caused this whole bomb explosion. So he has to go back in time to try and stop it from happening. Everything that the guy tries, like, it seems that the bomb explodes anyways. So it eventually comes down to the wire of, like, this guy has only so many times for him to go back in time before his, like, just brain dies, or he dies or something. So so this movie is actually a pretty rather interesting piece, and it's kind of an enjoyable one-off experience, but I probably wouldn't say to watch it over and over again. So I don't know why I actually have it in my collection. Sorceress Apprentice. So oddly enough, when this movie came out, everybody was talking about Nicolas Cage's hair and how great it looked. I'm like, whatever. I'm sure it's probably a wig. Or if it isn't, I'm like, man, that hair is pretty good. So this movie is just kind of one of those wizard films where it's like Nicolas Cage has to go on and teach Jay's character how to become this wizard, and then have him in his own interesting way face off against this threat by the end of the film. So it's kind of an interesting film. Spaceballs. This movie, of course, would be a big, huge, massive parody of Star Wars. We end up getting so many unique lines coming from this movie, where it's like the whole, like, I'm your father's brother's sister's cousin's roommate. It's like, well, what relation is that to us? Like, no relation. Or something like that. It's some goofy, like, I'm sure people know that line probably by heart or whatever. You can correct me in the comments below. And also you have, like, the whole Schwartz, like, will the Schwartz be with you? And, like, yeah, there's so many, like, the comb thing. Yeah, there's so many unique things coming from this movie. And so it's really interesting to find out that this movie is going to go on and get a sequel or whatever it and it's being, and they're gonna try and bring back all the actors that are still alive from this piece and have them just come back. So so yeah, so we'll see what happens in whatever the sequel of this is, if there actually is going to be one. Uh, I have no idea. But if anything, it should be fun, right? It should be fun for Mel Brooks to kind of revisit one of his films, because it's surprising how you would probably think that all the Brooks movies would just get most of them would end up just getting like rebooted or remade at this point, because really you would think that like Mel Brooks would be like, hey, I love to just keep getting money. So yeah, as well as also you would think that maybe there's some stuff that they can kind of just do in those films that is to be a more modern take, or like how we have like Naked Gun coming out, and like how that hasn't like opened the doors to just be like, well, hey, let's just come up with all these comedies, because like Scary Movie is getting a sequel or a reboot or something now. So anyways, pause this here, let's get out more movies so I can show you more things. So all right, so this thing here, yeah, a completely different case, but if anything, let's go on and let's do this. If anything, I'm just trying to probably hit the hour marker, and then we'll probably call it there. So if I get through all these and it's kind of close to the hour, then we'll call it there. But if anything, like I'll probably just have one last movie physical media thing and be done, which is kind of sad. But if anything, like I'll just transition somewhere else. Just do more of these kinds of videos. So don't be wary, people, because I still will probably figure out what to do in the future to kind of do something. Anyways, let's go on. So we have the movie Unleashed. This is a Jet Li film that is to have a character weirdly be under this like dog leash, and that was just kind of weird. But if anything, like it was just kind of such an interesting action film that like I was like, okay, whatever goofy idea that this movie really has, like at least it just had good action, and it was just something that I could just be like, okay, like I'm interested enough in this. Unstoppable. Man, surprisingly, about the time that this movie came out, like there was already people making jokes and parodies and stuff about it. So come to find out, this movie is to have this just unstoppable train that Denzel and Pine have to go on and figure out how to chase, because there's some dangerous stuff on this train that will definitely really hurt this town, and it's not like they can evacuate the town in enough time. So the only two people that can save the day are these two people here. So come to find out, Denzel Washington's character in this movie, like the heartbreaking thing is that he was going to go on and get fired from his job to be replaced by Pine's character. And Pine is also kind of dealing with his own kind of shit in this movie too. So it's really interesting to see these two characters, how like their dialogue goes along in this film to just kind of carry this movie. And then we end up finding out that this train is kind of to go wild like it does, and it's a pretty interesting film, even though it's again probably very much carried by dialogue. Up is a film that when I was to go on and watch it, it's a fun, entertaining piece, but I never think that I need to go on and watch it again unless something surprisingly on YouTube is telling me otherwise. Because I'm sure that I'll probably have to go on, and I'll probably will use this as probably a tag. I don't know. We'll see how much room I'll have on this video to tag things, because I'm going to try as much as possible to not have to put too many tags on videos for how much just left of these things that I have to cover here. Anyways, Up in the Air. This is to be a pretty solid George Clooney movie. There is so many good things in this film. Like, there's the moment where the young woman is talking to the much more older woman, and they end up getting the whole dialogue of like, well, like what do you see in a man? Like, what are you looking for? And this girl goes on and lists off all these very specific things. And then she turns to the older woman, it's like, well, like, what are you looking for? And she just rattled off like just maybe a couple of like just like a few things. The girl's like, really? Like, that's it for you? And she's like, yeah. Like making us going on and realizing like the older that we get, like the less like specific we get, the less like give a shit that we have. Like just the less, just more like confidence that we may like have in ourselves just because of how older we are. To where it's just like, hey, like yeah, like if anything, the longer that you go without somebody, the more that you're just gonna, you're like, well, whatever I can get, like I'll settle. Like, is kind of really what you're kind of doing in a way. So now we go on to a movie called Urban Legend. So this movie is kind of fun to kind of put all of these urban legends into one film, but then eventually, whenever I would go on and I would start seeing other horror films, I would see urban legends being used in those films. And so I'd kind of feel like I'd gone on to see this movie through so many others. And I'm just like, man, I'm sure anybody had probably either gone on and seen this movie, or just like, man, urban legends would just go on and just be kind of riddled through a number of other projects. So I'm like, oh, so it would just kind of just be like, it would kind of over time ruin this movie, but then also it would kind of ruin others because I know that this movie exists, and how they would probably to have stolen ideas from this film and just made it a whole movie based on one urban legend. So now we have next The Usual Suspects. Kind of a fun piece, the whole Kaiser Soze thing. We'd have these characters that are going on and having these like perspective stories, and eventually like the big reveal of who Kaiser Soze is kind of interesting. And eventually how like the person with the limp is all of a sudden by the end of the movie fine, and he's kind of pretending to be this person the whole entire time. It is kind of really interesting. So kind of a really fun piece. Also, it's kind of interesting how like they at some points would like ad-lib things in that film. Anyways, Valentine. I actually really love this movie, even though I don't like Valentine's Day. I'm sorry for those of you that experience Valentine's Day and you love it every year. Like, I hate that holiday. I hate the holiday. Even when I was to go on and like have a girlfriend, I still hated the holiday. But like, I never even had a girlfriend while it was during February. I didn't have a relationship that long. Because most of the time when I had a relationship, it was like for a month here and there, and it was never around Valentine's Day. So I was like, oh, okay, well, like nothing to celebrate. So I like how this story, like we have the bad guy, but it's a bad guy that we can honestly kind of root for, which is kind of weird, because the bad guy is to be a person that is to have been uh pulled a prank on, and is to be treated poorly, and was so traumatized by that that he vanished. And when eventually it seems that he is to be kind of bubbled back up to the surface, and people are assuming that they need to try to find who this guy is. So the girls are all of a sudden starting to become attacked by that guy from the past and starting to one by one get killed. And so it kind of becomes a really interesting piece, but a piece that it's like, you know what, I can actually kind of root for the bad guy. This is kind of nice. Like, this really started a pattern of like, hey, you know what, like, the bad guy in the film, like, I can actually sympathize with him. And like, I think that actually started like a wave of movies where they actually thought like that being the bad guy was not actually like the like was not like, it was a thing of like, well, this character is just misunderstood. And so yeah, they like, I think right after that movie came out, I think there was like a wave of people starting to change the tune of like of how they're doing horror films, which was nice. Because at least we can go on. At least we can go on and just have something really different in our films. So, that was fun. So, John Carpenter's vampires. So, besides maybe Blade, there are very few vampire movies that have like a whole like tech and gadgets of way of elimination of them. And man, this movie is to just go on and just be so interesting and fun. And like, man, I wish I didn't already go on to have already reviewed this movie, because I would like to review it again for how entertaining it is. But anyways, I had gone on to review it so you can hear my thoughts of the movie, if you really want to hear my thoughts about it. We have a 3 action-packed movie collection of Van Damme. So this is to have Kickboxer, Replicant, and Universal Soldier Special Edition. So, yeah, I would go on and I think have Universal Soldier like the Return, and then the Regeneration, the third one. And so the way in which that I have Universal Soldier is through this. So I was like, all right, that's kind of nice. So yeah, I do actually have a good chunk of the Universal movies, the Universal Soldier movies, because I do enjoy them. So let's if I can get this movie out. Man, it's kind of difficult. Wow. That was difficult. I don't know why that was so difficult. Van Helsing, that's probably why. So, I really enjoyed this movie. We'd come to find that Van Helsing not only goes on and fights vampires, but also like fights like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, fights werewolves, fights Frankenstein, but then realizes that the two of them have to work together. Like the whole like, this was such a smart idea, and like for how we had like characters like Blade and John Carpenter's vampires, like yeah, it was actually really getting to be really interesting, these kind of supernatural hunters that would have these very interesting unique gadgets, even though it probably doesn't make sense when they're in a certain time period that they are, because I'm just like, man, how could they figure it out all to do all this stuff? It kind of gets more and more like unrealistic when you really think about it, but whatever. Like, it's just cool and flashy for a film, and like, I do kind of miss like these kind of movies where they would just have this monster hunter guy with all these gadgets and things to face off against all these monsters. But anyways, let's move on. we have Van Helsing: The London Assignment. So this is to be the animated movie of Van Helsing, so I got this too because actually I heard that it was actually pretty good. I watched it, wasn't disappointed. So if anything, like yeah, we never really got a sequel of this. There is also to be a movie called I think Solomon Kane that is to be off of a comic book that I did go on and visually enjoy. That's kind of similar to Van Helsing because eventually people were lying to people and saying that there was a Van Helsing sequel that was coming out, and it was just them using footage of Solomon Kane. So I was like, yeah, like just lie to people and say that there's gonna be some sequel or some reboot, but really it's just a clips of another movie. And people are kind of smart because they try to do that all the time, to make you think that it's gonna be a real movie, or people use AI, so people are just fooling people uh of making them think that something is real. Um that's why whenever somebody was to talk about the new Avengers trailer movies, I'm like, I don't buy it whatsoever. I don't know what any of those trailers are. Think someone's lying to me. So I won't see that. I won't see any trailers of whatever the Avengers things are until they're out in theaters, whenever that comes. So, Vegas Vacation. This is a movie that is quite a bit of fun. We'd come to find that Chevy Chase's character is blowing just a lot of money, and we find out that like Russ is just winning at everything. Like he's winning all these cars, like he's winning at uh like craps, and like he's just like this good luck charm. It's so weird. It's really fun to see this family go on this adventure to these locations and see how goofy fun it is. Um, so because really that's kind of where we've gone with the Griswolds, is just to have all these really funny capers, and Vegas Vacation is no different. So moving on, we have a WWE film called Vendetta. I went on and I bought this and I never saw it. So that probably says a lot about me. Yeah, like I supported this movie, but I didn't watch it. Uh, like I thought off the trailer, it looked really interesting. It was nice to see that the Big Show or Paul White was in that film, and also I was like, ooh, like I like Dean Cain, of course, Superman, and other kind of things that I've seen him in, but never saw the movie. Maybe at some point I will. I doubt that it's gonna be a thing that I'm gonna tag through here, but eh. So we have a double feature here. This is V for Vendetta and Watchmen. Like I don't know what it is about these films, but it seems that people really enjoy them. Because they actually are visually entertaining, as well as also like they are interesting superhero pieces. Like you have the whole remember 5th of November, or 15th of November, 5th November. I don't remember which one it is. Um, you have of course the Watchmen, um, where's the whole like Pagliacci joke or whatever about the clown that goes into the person is uh like, well, hey, I'm feeling sad, so he goes on and he gets told to see this local clown. It's like, well, I am that clown. And so it's like, funny joke. uh yeah, like both of these movies are in their own rights really entertaining pieces, and uh like yeah, I've gone on to review both of them, so check out those reviews, or also just take my word for it. These pieces are really entertaining. Let me know in the comments below if you've watched them, so that way I can go on and be like, yeah, like I do like these movies. Like I am very entertained by them. But also, I think I'm a little long-winded for how I've already gone on and done a video already. I'm just kind of doing this one also. I apologize for just how I'm just like, whew, like, yeah. I'm just a little, like, the energy is kind of leaving me. So, this movie will go on and have people kind of scratching their heads why I like it. But, like, if anything, for a while, this movie honestly was my favorite film. And people will probably just be like, what the is wrong with you? Uh, because if anything, the way this opens is just like wow. So this is to be the vicious kind. So we have a film where a guy opens up to his brother and says that all women are basically whores, and that is horrible. But when the further and further we get to know the main character of Alan, who's played by Alan Scott, he has just been really hurt by a woman, and he goes on to pay a woman to sleep with him, and then he takes pictures with her in the act, and then sends it to this woman for how hurt that he was by her, and then he has to go on and take his brother and uh his brother's girlfriend to his father's place for Thanksgiving, who he hates because he had found out some secret thing about him. And eventually, by the end of the film, like it comes to a head of them kind of confronting one another, because eventually Alan Scott's character goes on to just find Brittany Snow's character really attractive, regardless of like, well, hey, he's with or she's with your brother. Like, but weirdly enough, there's just some connection between the two of them that's like undeniable. And yeah, like it's again, it's kind of like the Dan in Real Life movie where it's just like I don't know what it is, but like the like this movie is just so fascinating to me. But again, I don't condone anything that really Alan Scott says for how like horrible he is. Um, but anyways, I don't know. I guess like the movie was just so interesting just for how like this guy was just blathering out all this stuff, and I didn't agree with any of it, but like yeah, it's just all right. Since we've gone over the hour, I think I will go on and I will call this one to be the last one that I choose here. Out of all the things of a penis showing game and whatever they do in this movie, Waiting, the slut magic or whatever that Ryan Reynolds says to the one girl, yeah. Um, this is a really fun restaurant film that makes you want to second guess anytime you ever go out to eat, because you assume that maybe anybody and their brother has done anything to your meals. Uh, it makes you think about the restaurant business. I had gone on to work at a Subway briefly, and then also I'd worked at a Little Caesars briefly, when I would give them lunch breaks, and I would never want to go on in the food business industry, because like I knew that I would not go on and be able to do it well, and so I didn't do it well. So I got like I got fired from Subway, but it was just to get a first job, and it was like 5 minutes away. It was like walking distance from my house, so I just did the job because they were hiring because no one would hire me. So I worked at Subway, And then luckily I got a retail job shortly thereafter. I got fired from Subway. So and that retail job was like, ooh, like I could at least do this. Like I think I can figure out how to like fake it until I make it doing this. And then I got to other retail jobs where it was just like, okay, like it's kind of the same thing I've been doing for so long. But anyways, uh this movie is to have its moments, but also is to be just kind of disgusting. But I'm sure a lot of this is also probably very true about the restaurant business. It's also just kind of it's interesting that maybe this movie probably has something for everybody in it. So I don't know. Like at the end of the day, this is gonna be the last movie that I talk about here. So yeah, Waiting, a fairly interesting piece. So let me know in the comments below how you feel about any of these films. I'm sure you're probably gonna say that some of these movies you hated, or maybe some of these movies are your favorites, or you loved, or whatever. Either way, at the end of the day, thank you for watching this video. Because I hope that I'm gonna do at least one more of these, and then after that, I'm going to transition into other physical media stuff. So, for however long we actually do go on and have that for, it's gonna be fun. And we're gonna keep kind of just going on to these projects. I honestly wish that it wouldn't go on and need to do like videos back to back. Because I would go on to do this like comic book collection thing, and then I'd go into this, and eventually, like I would just get so like kind of worn down by doing these videos back. But I'm like, but I just gotta just keep doing all these videos. I gotta just keep going. I just gotta keep doing all this shit, and yeah, eventually it's just kind of like. Plus, also like whenever I mess up, like I did this video like uh 2 or 3 times now just to like try to think to say something right or get something right, because eventually at some point I would just have these stymied parts where I'm just like I have no idea what to say here, or I would just say something stupid and then I would just start all over again, um because I can't edit myself down with these things, or I like I am to just not think that I should just keep going anyways and apologize or whatever. Um, that I made that mistake or I said something stupid. No, I just decided, oh, I'm going to just do the video all over again and pretend that this is the first time ever doing it. But anyways, thank you for watching these. Because if anything, we can share in the movie collecting experience, movie watching experience. Thank you for watching this. Goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody.